You can run people up and down the interstate on your rail while you're still using your interstate. You're still going to have to put money into the interstate, but you won't have to widen it to the degree that we're discussing now. 12 lanes is the plan for I-275. When it's done, by 2035, it'll be 28% over capacity, which means we got to take it out, maybe to 16 lanes. Who's got the money for 16 lanes? Who wants 16 lanes? I don't want it, we don't have the money for it. And that's where I'll close. We're all about cutting taxes. And we're all about seeing property tax. My wife told me as I was leaving here, you cut property taxes. My own wife, you cut property taxes. Well, property taxes are going down. Brian fought to cut property taxes. A lot of other people fought to cut property taxes. The revenue is going down. We don't have new money for roads. We're not going to raise property taxes, nor is Hart, to help their bus system. And that's the other thing. This whole plan is not just a rail line. We're talking about doubling our bus fleet from 230 buses covering 1,000 square miles to over 500. Remember, in Dallas, they've got over 540 buses covering 700 square miles. And people say people don't use the bus system, and Hart now is experiencing, once again, record ridership, beating out what they saw in 2008 when gas was at $4 a gallon, and gas is going to go back up. People are going to want an option, rather than investing in yet another car. My son, who's 13, is already saying, Dad, when can I start driving? Well, when you can afford a car, son. I guess you're going to take, what will end up happening, we've got 2 in our families, he'll take mine, and I'll have to use public transportation. and I will, because I can't afford yet another car. I don't want to have to put up, it's $10,000, AAA says. The average cost for a person to have a car is $10,000 a year. When gasoline goes up $1, you add to your fuel cost over $800 in cost. $800 a year. For that Ferrari, a whole lot more. And the insurance for that Ferrari is a whole lot more. So there's a way, there's an effective way to balance it. And that's all I'm talking about. I want you all just to think and to read the material and to debate with me and debate with other elected officials, and don't trust anyone, and don't take for granted that we're going to spend your money properly. You got to stay on top of this. But at the end of the day, as a guy who was in the military, who spent 20 years serving, and who recognized that next to national defense, making sure that we can provide for our commerce, we have a strong business, that we can create jobs, and that will happen. Which you see what's going on in Charlotte, $1 billion+ in economic development along the rail line. Salt Lake City is expanding their rail line right now, their light rail system, by a factor of 10 while we debate whether we should start. Phoenix, record ridership, 40,000 a day. Dallas, over 60,000 riders a day. Conservative Dallas. Houston's got a 7.5-mile line that goes right into MD Anderson cancer. 35,000 people a year get treated at MD Anderson. Moffett could be the MD Anderson, but nobody wants to drive to Moffett. Think about if you were in Sun City and all you had to do is take your golf cart and take your golf cart to a bus stop, and from your bus stop to your doctor's and back. And hopefully at one point have that rail line so that you can go from bus to rail to doctor. Think about the people who visit our state now. Millions, 70+ million come to our state for tourism. They're going to start coming here for medical tourism. Look at all of us, including myself. Now, I just turned 50. By 2035, close to 30% of our population will be over the age of 60. We've got to start thinking about how we're going to move when we get older. And when our population grows, and we can't widen a road because it is way too expensive. Is there a better way? And when I started looking at it and saying, can we actually save money? Can we cut property taxes? And listen, we've got to downsize local government. I'm all for that. I was the one lone commissioner who pushed for removing the county administrator because I felt it was improper for herself to give herself a 1% pay raise and her other underlings an increase of anywhere from 14 to 17%. And others who say they're for smaller government defend it. I said we had to make a change. I'm not afraid to cut. I'm not afraid to say we don't need or shouldn't be spending money on new entitlements. I'm all about that. We can argue about the federal health care plan and whether or not Washington should be trying to take over healthcare. I got that. We shouldn't be doing it. But should we be investing in infrastructure? I believe darn right. And when we say to our kids 30 years from now, here's what we did for you when gasoline is $7 and $8 a gallon, and we've got close to 2 million people living here, we either did nothing or we stood up and we invested in our kids, and we invested in our future, and we built them a system that they can use just like our grandparents did for us when they built the interstate highway system. Commerce is what we do. Roads is what we do. Rail is what we do when it makes sense. And that's all I've been saying. If it makes sense, if the people think, after hearing us debate, and we're going to get to answer some questions, if the people think this is the right thing, and I'll tell you what, do you think I've run for office a number of times, and here I am, in the middle of a tea rebellion, and I'm out here talking about why we need to move forward on this referendum. I know the risks, but I didn't get in office to figure out which way the wind was blowing and take the easy way out. And I am running for re-election. And I'd like to serve. But I don't want to serve so bad that I don't do what I think is right. Not just for you all, but for future generations. I believe this is the right thing to do. And I'm willing to live with it. And I'm willing to defend it. I'm willing to listen to you, though, as well. I'm honored to be here. I look forward to hearing your questions. Thank you very much.
We're going to give Mr. Caton the same opportunity, but what I'd like you both to address, if you will, is there anything that could happen, any bit of information that you could come in contact with that might change, any situation that might change, that would, and I need you both to address this, that would completely reverse your position on this issue?
Well, let me again state, I didn't come to this position. People have asked me, show me the email, show me the message, show me the study that you used to cite that this is the right thing to do. It wasn't one study. It was years and years and years of reading documents. The conservative, good group, and I would suggest for you to read this. Moving Minds, Conservatives in Public Transportation by Paul Weyrich and William S. Lynn. Very good book. And it talks about the conservative case for transit. And so I came to this slowly. I never, again, picked my position and said I'm going to stick to it come hell or high water. Obviously, we're about listening and considering, and in my case, I'm not carrying the weight of having to decide for everybody. I'm saying I think everybody should have the right to decide. And when we looked at this in '99, and a committee of 99 people talked about it, the board voted 4-3 not to let it go to a vote. 2003, the Bush administration approved our initial plan for the rail plan, and the board said no. And so all I'm saying is, now it's getting tough. We don't have money. We've got to find a better way to move. Let the voters decide. And then you know what? I'll live with what the voters decide.
You're going to have to.
Can I take that as an